just, you know, standard formula.
That's one way to put it. Is it not picking up my PS4 controller? What is this?
And PS4 controller.
That's it. Okay. Try again. Okay, cool. It works. Alright, I'll put this game down. Don't really need to hear that. Alright, da-da.
Shooby-doo.
Shooby-doo. Shooby-doo-boo-wop.
Come and see the sea parties with your distress. I also don't need to worry about being loud today because my dad doesn't work, my brother is an inconsequential asset, and my mum is out for the weekend.
Okay.
Out for the weekend. Is at this point definitely not conscious. Is this
say something, Scrappy. Say something, Scrappy. Say something, Scrappy. Yeah, okay. Say something. Hi, Fireboy. We're just saying. Hi, Fireboy. We're just saying. Okay, I need to mute that. That's confusing me. Yeah, we're just setting up at the moment. There was just a chorus of like us laughing for a minute. Yeah, okay.
How much bread is that?
Oh, a lot.
Like, I've been eating that for a very long time.
I just have that, like, saved on OPS.
It's like, there's bread, it enters, and then more of it enters. It's like, where does the bread end? And how is it just so infinitely consumed?
Your guess is as good as mine.
And then the first three don't give a shit. The fourth one is looking like, Jesus God, what is happening over there?
And then there's just the one, like, barely on the side that you can, like, see half of.
God, are they pleased about that?
Nom 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 nom.
Nom 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 nom.
Do you want to have this as the start, or do you want me to restart the stream?
No, this is perfectly acceptable for the start of the stream.
Okay, fair enough. Alright, so
I have absolutely no problem with this, and neither should anyone else.
Okay, wait, the stream should be changed now.
What the fuck was our podcast again?
We're supposed to be doing Spyro 3.
No, what was the title of the podcast? I've been out of it that long.
Brain Block.
Right, because I thought we were still doing the fucking Ramble Express.
God.
Right, well, welcome to the Brain Block Express Ramble podcast. I'm kidding, of course. Welcome to the Ramble. Can I just get my brain in order? Welcome to the Brain Block podcast.
Yeah,
if I can just figure out what podcast we're doing, this would be dandy.
How long has it been? Like
3 months? Like, I was still with my ex at the time.
Oh god, yeah.
But anyway, yeah, there has been a massive hiatus in this podcast because my life fell apart and the other two did not want to do it without me.
Yeah. Oh, you took Fireboy. You were talking about the GIF earlier. Yeah. I think I think I know what you're talking about. But yeah, the moral of the story is that loads of things happened with Joey, and ultimately it ended up with the podcast being on hiatus because he didn't feel like doing it for a long time. Scrappy and I could have gone on without Joey, but we just didn't feel like it would have.
I also recommended you to do it.
Yeah, like, and we did bring it up. We did bring up the podcast a few times, but it just didn't feel right to just go on without you. So we ultimately, between the two of us, we ultimately just thought, if you want to bring the podcast back, it should be in your terms. Like we did encourage it a little bit. Like it got brought up a few times, but it was ultimately your decision.
And on top of that, like maybe a month on top of all of that, it was a case of, well, not a month at this point, but like at least, no, it's definitely longer than 2 weeks because I watched all of The Boys, so.
Oh yeah, you've been talking about that.
Like, at least 2 months was just waiting for you guys to get together and actually set up a point.
I feel
But
like,
anyway.
Yeah, I don't know if you, do you want to, like, do a quick, like, what we've been up to since, like, we've been away, because I feel like that's something we should do in these podcast episodes that we just don't really do.
Okay, so the thing that I've been doing since we were away is suffering.
Fair
TLDR,
enough.
I'm not continuing from that point. I also started a Twitch channel.
Yeah, like Raccoon, bootleg.
I
Raccoon?
am the bootleg raccoon.
Yeah.
The one and only. I even have a VR chat avatar, it's great.
So when are you gonna play Sly Cooper then?
I don't own Sly Cooper.
No.
And it's not on Xbox.
No.
Ignore my brother's PlayStation, it's not on Xbox, that's the only reason. Yeah, what have you guys been doing?
Okay, well, the past couple weeks I've been getting into Toho. Fun fun bullet hell games. Very rich fandom, as I've very quickly come to realize.
I fell into the Toho pit, but I always bring a rope whenever I jump into one of these holes.
Yeah. Yeah, it's fun. It's been a fun series. I've only really played the original PC 98 game so far, and apparently it's supposed to get a lot better after that. So that's gonna be exciting. And I've also been looking at a lot of the fan animes and whatnot. So that's been pretty cool. I enjoy how dedicated the fan base is.
Fanime, that's my favourite genre.
Yeah. Yeah,
It's like manganese, it's my favourite element.
Yeah, right. Yeah, considering like it's all like fan stuff, it's surprisingly high budget for what it is.
There are two types of people. Your average Joe and mysteriously wealthy weebs.
Pretty much. Although considering it's all fan stuff, it takes ages for new episodes to come out. But
the fastest part is the dubbing, I'm not gonna lie.
I'm not even sure if there is a dub. But,
yeah, there is. The Japanese dub.
I mean, if you... yeah, I guess. But yeah, that's what I've been doing, like, recently. I don't know, as for other things, not really much, to be honest with you. Besides the usual, like, streams and, YouTube channel stuff. Scrappy, if you're here at the moment, what have you been up
He's
to?
telling us to stall.
Oh, okay, so, I guess talk a bit about The Boys?
Well, fuck. How do I talk about The Boys without spoiling The Boys? Which, by the way, is the best show on the air right now. It is a hyper-realistic superhero television show based off of the comic book series The Boys.
Right.
I have not read the comic books, but the show is amazing. You follow this one guy on his quest to uncover a conspiracy from a mega pharmaceutical company, and then it all just falls apart from there in the best possible way.
I'm doing this really badly.
Like, put me on the spot to talk about The Boys in a zero spoilers environment, not a good plan. Like, The Boys is something you talk about with people that have seen The Boys.
Fair enough. Well, what kind of show is it?
Action drama?
Fair enough.
High action, high drama. You think the glory kills in Doom are bad?
Yeah.
You're gonna love The Boys.
Oh man.
I would legitimately go as far to say as The Boys is classifiable as hypergore. It's great.
Dang.
It's not always though, but it when it is, it is.
Oh my god.
It is an absolute spectacle to watch. Like, you get really involved in the drama, the interpersonals, the freaking politics of the situation, the violence.
Yes.
And I low-key want a season 3.
Fair enough.
I'm happy with how it ended. It can end there. But I want a season 3.
Fair enough.
And there are directions it can go in the season 3. It's been left just open enough.
There's a lot of shows that are like that for me. Like, you can just
They
end
shoved
it there. But...
They shoved in one plot hole at the end of the last episode that focuses on something that happened the episode before. But I think that's an out just in case they really want it.
Right.
It's always a fucking exploding trap. But, oh, like, here's the thing. You can't even talk about the characters without spoiling past the first episode. I mean, all I can really say is the main character is this really anxious sort of, I'll just sort of go with it because that's the direction the Dungeon Master is pushing the story sort of guy.
Yeah.
And then you've got Starlight, frickin' middle, like, small town, all-American hero girl, rags to riches sort of story.
Right.
I can't really even talk about that much and how they even get together. Like,
Fair enough.
Talking about this show is just so hard in a zero spoiler environment. Even with a first episode spoilers allowed, it's basically just, so here's the entire first episode.
Yeah, pretty much. I can understand that. Sometimes it's better to just say it.
I cannot sell it enough, but at the same time I can't sell it at all with how limited I am on my ability to sell it.
Yeah. I can feel that. Well, considering how much you sing its praises, I'll probably end up checking out at some point. I still need to watch Beastars though, so I don't know when I'll get to that.
I will actually say The Boys is the best show of 2020.
Well, Alright.
Well, The Boys season 2 is the best show of 2020. The first season was 2019, I think. I like it that much.
Dang. That is high praise.
And I didn't like Endgame.
Oh no. Gonna get into the hot takes today.
Alright, here's my hot take on Endgame. It isn't a bad movie. I just didn't enjoy it. It took a direction that was very drastically different from part 1 of Endgame that I didn't think it should have gone in, and therefore didn't enjoy it as much as pretty much everyone else. Also, all of the character development they put into Big Blue basically got immediately stripped away and revoked with the time travel element. And the second time travel gets involved in that fucking movie, you have to just instantly say, well, fuck that shit.
Right. I haven't seen
like that's the second the second time travel gets involved, you turn off your brain or you stop enjoying the film.
Yeah, time travel needs to be done right.
Like when Doctor Who has more concise time travel, there's a problem. And with Doctor Who, you expect to turn off your brain, and even still, there's enough explanation to go, yeah, I suppose that's alright. If you're going with that method of it.
Right.
And that's why they really avoid paradoxes in that show. Like, when there's a paradox, it's a plot point. And it's usually not even that bad of a paradox.
Right.
Now we're talking about Doctor Who, but anyway, Scrappy's here. So Scrappy, what have you been doing during the hiatus?
I have just been trying to search for jobs.
Oh, right, fuck.
I've low-key given up.
It's just been
Terrible.
some false starts. That's what I'll say. Oh dear. Yeah, just searching for jobs, catching up on old series through Netflix, and recording with Harry, basically.
Yeah, pretty much.
Nice. That's more or less the same thing I've been doing on top of the suffering.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of like anything
And
else.
partly because of the suffering.
I guess one thing that's happened like over the course of like several months or so is that Lewis has watched ReZero now, and he finally understands.
Rem is best girl, and his argument is invalid.
Yeah, exactly. He's seen the light now, and that was certainly an experience going back through.
Oh, speaking of ReZero and ReZero Abridged, in the scene where they're like, so is the plot going to move forward? Does suffering count as plot? No, too bad. Yeah.
Pretty much.
Alright, so are we ready to start talking about the main topic of Crash Free?
We were talking about Spyro 3.
Well, we're talking about Crash Free now, because I'd rather.
I mean, we need to do the others first.
Do we have to?
I mean, we gotta finish what we started.
We'll finish what we started, we'll decide on it.
I mean,
we low-key do.
We can't just change change what we're doing, like, on a whim like this.
Yes, we can. It's our podcast.
We can, but it's gonna be a hot mess.
Gee, anyone up for the Ramble Express?
Exactly.
Or the Hot Mess Podcast?
Essentially, yeah. Yeah, can you tell it's been a while?
Okay, so Spyro 3, that game where you got to collect the dragon eggs and the evil person isn't that evil, but wants you to think they're evil because, trust me, I'm totally evil, fam.
Well, she's not. Bianca isn't trying to be evil, it's just...
She's trying to be a dick, and she's doing a really bad job of it. And it actually just ends up getting Hunter turned on. I mean,
yes, we're getting ahead of ourselves.
We're not wrong. Okay, do we want to like start just explaining
First world. Let's start at the first world.
I mean, like the general like plot, I guess. I don't know.
Okay. Spyro Year of the Dragon, released in the year 2000, the actual real-world Year of the Dragon, for the Sony PlayStation 1. Yes. Released for the Sony PlayStation, developed once more for the final time by Insomniac Games.
End of an era.
Yep. Sometime after Spyro's triumph over Ripto in the previous game, he and Hunter have returned to the Dragon Realms, and this is just in time for their Year of the Dragon celebration. Every 12 years, dragon eggs are hatched, and that's basically the birth of the new generation of dragons, which I guess implies Spyro's like 12 years old or something. So, yeah, Spyro, Hunter, and friends are just kind of chilling out in the open, literally just napping in a field. When a bunch of thieves, you remember those guys?
Yeah, they be back.
They're back in pog form.
Yeah, literally just a thief enemies from Spyro 1 just have been enlisted by some unknown force to steal the baby dragon eggs.
Look, they needed work, they had a specific set of skills. It just worked out at the end.
That's one way to put it.
Swine education's important, even if it's in stealing things.
You're in a... Is it pronounced Echidna or Echidna? Because I've heard both ways.
Echidna.
I've never heard Echidna.
That, I'm talking about the character in ReZero. I'm not talking about the animal.
Oh, I have no clue because I watched J-Dub.
Fair enough. Yeah, she... I don't particularly trust her, but... I mean, I can see why she's liked a lot. Moving away from ReZero, but...
Legit, her name could be Steve. You know, from engineering.
Steve from engineering.
In Smash!
Lord. God, I swear we could just do a whole podcast episode on Smash speculation.
That's what we basically do once every month, Harry.
Well, it's something we pretty much do, we basically do, Smash podcasts between ourselves. It never gets recorded, but...
Then record it. Stonks.
I know,
Maybe someday.
Maybe someday. I never think to do that.
Let's see, so where were we?
Half the conversations we've had at 3 AM we should have recorded.
God.
I mean, granted, they're mostly just hot takes on society, but still, they'd have an audience.
I have done it a few times. Like, there's a few videos on my channel where it's just Scrappy and Harry talk about nonsense at like 4 in the morning.
No, I know exactly why you would not record what I'm talking about at 4 in the fucking morning, because that shit gets too real.
I remember I don't know why we're talking about this now, but I remember specifically like playing Wind Waker at the time, and we went on this massive tirade about like really philosophical stuff, and like it was just like, what the hell? Why do we do this?
Suffering is my passion.
Anyway, so Spyro. So yeah, the thieves come down, they steal the dragon eggs, and then it's just like, oh,
you actually remembered.
And then it's just like, oh, you need to go down. You're the only one that can fit through these holes. Go down with the hunter and find the eggs and stuff.
Phrasing.
Yeah, I really don't care.
Okay, to reword that. The thieves and their ringleader, a rabbit named Bianca, have stolen the dragon eggs and have made their escape down a literal rabbit hole.
Mm-hmm.
And this exit is a literal gateway to the other side of the world. and all the other dragons are too big to pursue, so they send Spyro, Sparks, and Hunter to go retrieve the eggs.
Essentially, do we want to just discuss the story entirely now, or just save that for later?
We'll discuss the story as we go on, and basically so after the introduction, we jump into World 1.
Yeah.
Yes,
And,
Spyro's now in the Forgotten Realms.
I do think it's cool to... I think the Forgotten Worlds are cool in the sense that it brings in some new lore for the series, makes things a bit more interesting, like how the dragons used to live there, but they got banished because of the sorceress or whatever. So that's why...
The worst part of the story at that point is the fact that the dragons just flat out said, yeah, you have magic, so screw this. They're dragons. Burn her alive. But kids' game, so.
Well, I mean, they're the ones that got sent to another, like, world or whatever. So they couldn't really... I guess they just couldn't find a way back, or they were just like, you know what, she can have this. Let's just make this new place our, like, new home from now on.
I actually low-key think the sorceress didn't just banish them, but actually thinks that she killed them. And that's why I never went hunting for them.
Probably. I mean, that could be it.
And probably figured it out later after the Ripto incident.
But yeah, one thing that happens when you immediately go in is that Bianca's just like, oh, I've hidden the eggs around and you're definitely not gonna find them. And that's...
Because that was a safer idea than hiding them all in the same goddamn place. You know, a secure vault.
Yeah.
And then just hold on to the free magical keys instead of giving them to thieves that you're just fast enough to outsmart.
Yeah. But the point is, though, that...
Kids game.
Well, that, and also... simple stuff like that is good encouragement for you to kind of want to go, like, stuff it to Bianca, essentially, where it's just like, oh, you think I can't do it? I'll show you, kind of thing. And it's like, it's a simple thing that it's not anything, like, crazy in the grand scheme of things, but it's just a nice incentive to, like, actually make you want to try to get everything.
It's worth noting she mocks the player that you can't find any of the dragon eggs, and there's an egg literally right behind her when she says this.
Yeah, that is pretty funny. So,
You're blind!
so you're not gonna find them in a million years. Dude, I just...
Also the egg.
Yeah.
So, yeah, as you can imagine at this point, the Spyro formula is pretty established. It's basically just building off Spyro 2's gameplay. It's real. In fact, Spyro has pretty much all his newly gained abilities from Spyro 2 except for the Super Flame.
Yeah.
Because it's broken.
Yeah, it's essentially, what is it? Essentially everything you got from the end of Spyro 2, you can use from the starting 3, which is pretty cool. I'm not sure if they, like, tell you about the Spyro 2 moves right away, though, do they? Could be wrong.
I mean, the first hub world includes a swimming section, so I guess you'll find out sooner or later about that.
Yeah, because I mean, Enter the Dragonfly, which we'll probably talk about someday, also brings in the Spyro 2 abilities, and I'm not sure that game ever explains like that stuff. So you kind of just have to know, but I guess by just messing around, you'll figure it out.
So the first world is, what is it, the Summer Glades or something?
I don't remember.
They're all seasons, so I think it was spring.
No, just the season thing was Spyro 2.
Then it's
Yeah,
like
what was it?
morning something, I think.
Sunrise
Yeah, like-
Spring, I think?
Because, probably, because I know the last one's midnight.
Yeah, Midnight Mountain. Well, since we're on like the home worlds at the moment, one thing that I like is that while I do enjoy the serenity of the Spyro 2 home worlds, Spyro 3's actually have like melodies again, like in Spyro 1, which I honestly prefer, and they're nice to explore. They aren't as spacious as the ones in Spyro 2, but they have a lot of secrets and platforming areas, like spaced around. So they're still pretty fun to explore.
Yeah, they actually hide. They hide. Yes, they hide collectibles just like the Spyro 2 hubs do.
I feel like Spyro 3 was the pinnacle of Spyro game design.
Yes, I agree.
Until later on, when they started doing other things, and then the evolution of the series and all that. But Spyro 3 was so good, they fucked up copying it in Spyro 4.
Spyro first is like, yeah, that we can save that for later because that's a whole nother discussion.
We're not doing an episode on Spyro 4. One, it'd be really short. Two, though.
It's happening regardless. It's happening.
It's not gonna happen for a while, but we can do it after me and Scrappy actually do that for an LP.
Okay, let me just sum it up for you. Basically, you start the game, you skip all the intro, you run over to the gate where you need a key for that you can just walk through, use it to glitch into the ground and enter swimming mode that allows you to swim through the air like it's nothing. You use that to skip through into the final boss, you kick his ass with nothing but the bubble beam, and you end the game.
Bubble beam.
Bubbles!
Well, the best part about that is that you don't even need to glitch it that hard. Like, you can literally, like, issue do the ground pound move thing in a certain way next to the portal, you can just clip through it.
I must have had a very functional GameCube copy because I don't recall doing any of this.
Well, I mean,
I never actually did it on the PS2 version, but on the PS2 version, half the time you just walk through walls.
I've seen. Oh god.
You know how you got that massive gate before the Halloween level with the UFO alien cows?
Oh yeah.
Just walk through it.
I mean, it's also amazing because I've seen playthroughs where, like, you know how Hunter is like the tutorial guy in the hub world is like, hey Spyro, do you know you can glide over here or whatever? When they load up the hub world, there's just Hunter like very quickly going through all those motions, so he's just kind of flying around the level. It's amazing!
Because the game always restarts at 0.
Yeah, it's great. And sometimes Bianca is just sitting there for like, literally a frame.
Before yeeting out of existence.
Yeah, because like, she says like, oh, use this dragon statue to get more like, breaths or whatever, and then just kind of buggers off for the rest of the game.
Hunter actually does those jumping motions in the third game most times, I think. At least once after the initial.
Yeah. But yeah, going back to Spyro 3, it's more or less...
Now we don't need to do a Spyro 4 podcast.
Like Scrappy was saying, the general structure is still very much like Spyro 2. But I feel the, I don't know, it's weird, because I feel, Spyro 3 is definitely the longest of the 3 games, but it doesn't feel like it. Like, I feel like the stages are long, but it's one of those things where you don't notice it, and I can't fully explain that. Like, I don't know.
I guess this is as good a time as any to explain kind of the little, what's the word, specific intricacies of Year of the Dragon.
Right.
Excuse me. Level design is effectively about where it was in Spyro 2, but I'd say with maybe a bit more platforming, a bit more involved platforming than the prior game, so I guess it's the happy medium between the first two.
They're very much walk in a circle.
Yes.
With extra steps.
Like, Year of the Dragon, probably more so than the other two, is pretty clear with your main goal of any given level.
That's fair.
Yeah, the talismans and, what are those other things called? The orbs of Spyro 2 are gone. Your sole collectible, other than the gems, are just the dragon eggs.
Yeah, which is, generally, I think, a good thing. Although, they also messed this up in one way, in the sense that one of the issues of Spyro 2, as you would have recalled, was that there was some forced backtracking, and that could have been solved if talismans weren't a thing, so you could get to bosses depending on how many orbs you have. And they have the recipe to do that in Spyro 3, but what they do instead is make it so you still have to get to the end of each main level in a homeworld, because the NPCs activate the vehicle, let's say, to get to the boss, and by extension to get to the next world. So that's still an issue, and they were so close to fixing it, but they had to do that as well, so I don't know, it's kind of weird.
It's like how you have to go to at least the third world to do something in, like, the second level.
Yeah. Now, as we'll get to, this game does still have backtracking, but I think it's handled a lot better than in 2, but I'll get to that when it's more relevant.
Yeah, no more talismans, but we do have, I guess, a primary dragon egg to collect, and that dragon egg's basically tied to one specific civilian of every given level. What was I saying? Since the Forgotten Worlds have no dragons, they basically don't have the dragon's magic, and apparently they're the ones who kind of facilitate the transport between levels. So, Spyro... Sorry, go on.
Here's the thing I really like about the Dragon Eggs thing.
What?
It's like, if you're young and you're not really caring too much, or me, you can beat the game with just running through all the levels and maybe collecting a couple of extras. However, you cannot clock the game unless you go out of your way to get everything.
Right. I think I know part of the reason why Spyro 3 doesn't feel as exhausting as the other games, but that goes into other things that'll be brought up soon enough, so I'll save it for now.
So yes, a primary dragon egg tied to a specific civilian who will basically serve as kind of an ambassador of their respective level, and will help you actually travel between the major hub subsections. And yeah, basically once you do that primary task, the portal to exit the level will come up, and you can leave, or you can stick around and do the side tasks, because it's a Spyro game.
Yeah.
Like, you'll end the level, but then there'll be, like, the obvious second thing you can do in an extra area. And it will be genuinely challenging.
Yeah. I do... I would generally say that Spyro 3 is the hardest of the 3 games. Not that that's saying too much in the grand scheme, because Spyro games aren't typically too difficult, but it does challenge you sometimes.
I can't get into Spyro 1 and 2 because of how simple they are.
That's a fair point. I can see that with Spyro 1 specifically, yeah. Spyro 2, I think, is a step in the right direction, but I feel like the platforming is too simplified. as a side effect, and that and just the generally kind of simple level design in like as a whole kind of makes me get exhausted. Whereas Spyro 3, I think, because it asks more for the player, I feel it ends up being more engaging as a result. Because like Scrappy was saying earlier, there's a bit more involved platforming than in 2, and I think that, again, I just kind of think that that makes you get more invested into the game, and you know, I think that's good. Because there weren't really a lot of moments in Spyro 2 where they expect you to experiment with stuff like gliding around, like finding secrets and whatnot. Like, that was still there, but it was mostly reserved for, like, hub worlds and whatnot. Whereas, like, from the start of Spyro 3, there's a moment where, if you look far off into the distance when you're high up, you can see, like, some pillars that will lead you to a dragon egg. And stuff like that is prevalent for most of the game, which I like. And, you know, it's just a spatial awareness that was very apparent in Spyro 1, and seeing it again is nice.
It's like something I said a long time ago that you didn't quite agree with. If I'm given a straight line and told walk to the end and collect X amount of jelly beans, sure, that's a level. However, it's far more interesting if there are two alternate paths, even if they lead to the same road.
Right. I think it depends on the game, though, like...
But then if it's a collectathon, you have to go backward down the other path and back up, and it just makes a triple backtracking situation.
Right. I think...
Unless only one of the paths has jelly beans.
Yeah. I mean, I like jelly beans, I guess.
But then if only one path has jelly beans, there's no point in the second path unless it's got, like, extra lives for days, and you still have the backtracking problem.
In terms of, like, how many paths there are in a game, though, I feel like it's dependent on what you're trying to go for, because, like, something like Crash, where it's more linear, I think is fine because it's focusing on challenging platforming first and foremost. Whereas something like Spyro, I feel should be more focused on making the area fun to explore, and make it so like experimenting with your abilities is whatchamacallit, like there's a reason to do it, and
So
you
what you're
get
saying
rewarded.
is, yes, you've walked into the box. However, in the box there are toys, and that is the point of being in the box.
Pretty much. That's basically, like, the best collectathons are ones where you get put in a world and it's just inherently interesting to explore them. And Spyro 2, I feel like, is like it's in a weird middle ground where Avalar as a world is very interesting, but the level design itself isn't really that great.
It's like a gallery exhibit. You're walking through, but like you're walking through and you're looking at the walls. But if you basically put up a sheet over the walls, you just walk straight to the end and go straight to the gift shop.
Yeah. And I'll make it clear once again, I don't dislike Spyro 2. I do enjoy playing it, and it is a good game, but in terms of just like a lot of things, the main thing being level design, I just think it's inherently less interesting than the other games, and that by nature just makes me not enjoy it as much. So yeah. Hate having to clarify that every time, but whatever.
And basically, the point I was saying with the analogy I just said was, if you take away everything interesting to look at, you're basically just walking down a blank corridor.
Essentially. Which is what a lot of people seem to say Final Fantasy XIII is, but I never played it, so...
Well, here's the thing. Walking down a blank corridor isn't necessarily a problem.
No.
If you've got an assault rifle and a couple of assholes in front of you. Because I don't think Call of Duty is that bad.
Fair enough.
It also got better, but anyway. Eventually.
I don't think the issue with people was that it was ever bad. I just think people got tired of the oversaturation of FPS games for a period of time.
Yeah, fair. And yet, the oversaturation led to so many hidden gems, because even though it was oversaturated, people only played Halo and Call of Duty.
Yeah.
But we're not talking about that.
I will say...
As interesting a tangent that is.
The only thing I will say about this quickly is that I can say now that I have much more of an appreciation for FPS games now than I had like back in high school. So
you're welcome.
Yeah. Moving on though. Did you want to say anything about any of this, Scrappy?
I will have my thoughts about FPS game mechanics in due time. Don't worry.
Oh, fair. Yeah.
Oh god, are we doing a Halo episode eventually?
I will not be present for that. So, I guess on the topic of linearity, Spyro 3's levels are still pretty open, but I think they're a bit more... I think Sonic decided to make them a little more sequestered.
I feel like they're more focused.
Like, they have more... Like, there's designated sub-areas for the mini-games now. Like, you actually have to go to a portal to get through them in levels. Which is probably just a...
through half of them.
Yeah.
That was probably just a means to kind of disguise loading times for loading the areas, but it does kind of...
I thought it was amazing. And it's not even disguising it, you know it's a loading screen.
Yeah.
It's just a really good loading screen. It's definitely in the top 100, maybe even the top 50, top 10.
It also goes back to the whole why this game doesn't... I mean, I can see why some people wouldn't like Spyro 3 because it's quite a bit more to digest than the other two, but the different areas I think are one of the reasons why I like it more, because each one of them gives you like a different challenge, including something else that we'll get to as well, and there's just a lot of general variety with this game, and it keeps things from being stale.
What was I going to say? Yeah, I don't mind the cordoned off minigame areas. It just kind of helps. It helps this word. It helps you mentally organize everything.
Yeah, it also goes back to the whole backtracking thing, and the reason why I think this game does that better is because when you had to backtrack to an earlier level, you'll generally know that, okay, I need to open up this side path that I couldn't get to earlier, and that's where the remaining eggs and gems are, and you just had to go there immediately. Whereas in, like, say, Spyro 2, a lot of the time you had to just replay entire stages just to get what you wanted.
Also, excuse me, this is something I neglected to mention. Lore reasons, enemies dispense gems upon defeat again.
Yeah, which I think is a lot better, personally, because I don't hate the idea of the spirit particles or whatever in 2, but it just... I just kind of think it's unnecessary, if I'll be honest.
I swear I heard one of the reasons in one of the games was basically the gems were turned into the monsters.
Yeah.
That's pretty much the accepted lore reason.
Yeah, that's the...
That's not a terrible reason, I mean, come on.
Yeah.
No, it's not.
Well, that's the idea in Spyro 1, and I'm assuming that's the case in 3 as well. In
I mean,
2...
it makes sense.
Yeah, in Spyro 2, Ripto didn't have an army established at the time, so that you're literally just killing residents of Avalar, essentially.
It's fine, you don't live there.
Yeah, Spyro's just like, I'm dipping. I'm a dip.
Yeah, we don't get the... Yeah, we don't get the little intros and outros to the stages anymore, but we got general lore in place, I guess.
I want to say that they probably wanted to do the cutscenes, but Spyro 3...
Disc space.
Not necessarily disc space, that might have something to do with it, but I think it was generally because, from what I heard, Spyro 3 had kind of a rushed development.
Oh, it was laughably rushed. It just...
Yeah, so I'd imagine, like, they were like, okay, so how are we gonna, like, be able to finish this on time? Like, what can we cut and not have it, like, hurt the game too much? Let's just get rid of the intro-outro cutscenes. Which kind of sucks.
You know, and, you know, have the first hub world music playing in the final boss, because that's what they did in the original version.
Yeah, there's the original Black Label version, which is a lot more glitchy, has music bugs, like Scrappy was saying. The final boss has the Sunrise Spring theme, which is hilarious.
I think I actually have the Black Label version.
Yeah.
The version that's emulated on PS3, because Sony can't apparently keep track.
Yeah.
Can't do their fucking job.
Yeah, and it's also a detriment to play that version, because if you go... I forget how it works, but like, you can do a thing where you go to a speedway, and if you don't get everything on your first go, you'll basically be locked from 100%, or something like that. So that kind of sucks.
Oh my gosh, I guess I got it on my first time then, because I have the proper full percentage.
Yeah.
Thanks, Insomniac.
Yeah, I always go for everything when I go into the speedways, but yeah, apparently if you leave the speedway before getting everything, you're just not gonna get 100%. I could be wrong about that, but it's something...
I think you're wrong about that, but I think if you do like half of it, then the second half of it gets locked off.
Something like that, yeah, something like that.
It's either that or you have to start again from the beginning every time.
Yeah, I don't exactly...
That sounds more like it, actually.
Yeah, I don't remember exactly what it is, but there's some weird bug about the speedways in the Black Label version. So if you want to play the PS1 version, get the greatest hits for America and the platinum version for Europe.
Year of the Dragon was...
Yeah.
Japan didn't even get this game, because the other two games' localizations just got botched.
Yeah.
Oh my.
So yeah, Japan, you fuck.
Oh, lordy.
Year of the Dragon was a dry run for Enter the Dragonfly's development issues, but Insomniac had experience with two other games, so it wasn't too bothersome for them.
Yeah. They at least had like the blueprints, I guess, so they knew generally what they were going for.
So what's the difference between the English dub and the American dub?
How many U's do you like in your words?
You do not need to honor that with a response. I'm not gonna lie.
But I want to.
Sorry, it's 2:30 in the morning.
Okay, so we discussed. So we discussed levels and general controls, the mini games to an extent. Okay, so if you're like me
one thing
and
I'd like to say about the mini games.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Basically, with the backtracking of, say, on the 4th level of the first world, you can see the bit that's locked off of the Sergeant Bird sign. Things like that, I never went back for.
Oh.
I'd look at them and be like, oh shit, I recognize that, I'll go back and do that later, and then I never do.
Fair enough. For me, I like those because it's more so on the first playthrough. On my subsequent playthroughs, you know what the deal is. But on the first run, it's like, oh, I wonder who this character's gonna be like, and I get kind of excited by that prospect. So you get to see more of the game, and you get to see what's behind door number 1, or whatever.
Nothing of value.
Yeah.
Usually. Alright, so...
Well, now
where are we in the conversation?
If you're like me and started Spyro 3 by just going to the first proper level, then you probably didn't explore the hub world too much. If you had, you would have noticed a returning character from Spyro 2.
Yes.
Hunter?
Well, aside from Hunter, Moneybags.
Oh, yeah.
Everyone's favorite gatekeeper is back, and he is holding ransom your new playable characters.
Yeah, if you thought he was bad in Spyro 3, he's like twice as bad in this game.
If you thought he was bad in the game we're talking about, he's twice as bad in the game we're talking about.
Yeah, Moneybags is working for, well, the sorceress who is the main villain of this game.
So he'll work with whoever
He actually
could...
sounds like he's doing her.
Oh my god.
No, seriously, how he talks about her.
Jeez.
Oh god, now I've said that you can't unhear it.
What was I saying? Yeah, Moneybags is working with a sorceress now instead of being the vaguely legitimate businessman of Spyro 2.
Legitimate.
Just, I say vaguely, like he's totally scamming you, but you can at least, as far as Spyro knows, he's legit.
Yeah.
The confines of Avalar. Here, not so much. He's
Yes,
just
to
full on
progress
holding.
across this bridge, you must first give me the solidified remains of the souls of the inhabitants that you slaughtered on your travels. They're shiny, I like them.
God.
What was I gonna say? Oh yes, he's holding people for a ransom, so yeah, pay up and you will free your new buddy. In this case, it's Sheila the kangaroo.
Yeah, and apparently she's like, scheduled to be executed or something, was just like, alright.
Boy.
Yeah, the sociopathic dark comedy of Spyro 2 is largely gone, but the actual plot, so to speak, is a bit more moody in general.
Oh, it's still done in like a Saturday morning cartoon kind of way, but the actual plot is way darker than the previous ones.
I think we're forgetting something very important, and that Saturday morning cartoons were dark.
They could be, yeah, that's fair. Where do we want to move on from that?
So, yeah, you free Kangaroo Jack, and she proceeds to kick Moneybags' ass, so...
Yeah.
That's gonna be a running gag, by the way.
It's the best running gag.
I couldn't hear you, Joey. What'd you say?
Why would you reference that terrible movie?
Because I watched it this summer on Netflix.
Why is it on Netflix? Oh yeah, because Netflix has no standards. Moving on.
I mean, they put Toradora on it, so that's good.
As I said, no standards.
Wow. I see how
I
it
haven't
is.
seen it. There's a different show on Netflix called that is similar to Toradora. I think it's Tora Odoro. And that's actually really good, and you should watch it.
Okay. I'll look into it.
It's the one with the big green lizard with red crosses tattooed over his eyes. He's great.
Mm.
So, who wants to explain Sheila's gameplay?
You jump. It's a kangaroo, yeah? And
Yeah.
it jumps.
The thing of,
And it's Australian.
yeah.
Just
The
not
thing...
as Australian as Maddie.
I guess since we're bringing up, Sheila now, that's the big thing with Spyro 3, and it's like, I guess since they thought they couldn't really expand on Spyro himself, that much, from this point, they decided to bring in other playable characters to kinda, pick up the slack for him, I guess. So, yeah, starting off you have Sheila, which isn't really that different from Spyro gameplay. She's just...
You can't charge, and you jump higher.
Yeah, I was gonna get to that, because it's like, the thing with Sheila's gameplay is that the level design is a lot more vertical based. So, there's a lot of that stuff going on. And besides that, though, she's not that different in gameplay. So, she's not, like, completely alien, or what have you, which I think is a good thing, because you don't want to start off with someone drastically different, and I feel like they gradually get more and more different as you unlock the characters. So, yeah, I'd say that's a good thing.
Yeah, once you free a character, you're basically given an introductory starter level just to kind of get acclimated to their controls and personality.
I'm gonna quickly get a drink. You guys carry on without me.
Alright.
Okay. Yeah, Sheila, as far as I can recall, is basically just a freedom fighter in the Forgotten Worlds.
Yeah.
Which does raise the question of how exactly... I forget, the lore states that the portals of the Forgotten Worlds are kind of running out of magic, so they can't... The denizens can't really travel freely anymore. So it does raise the question of how Sheila got there.
Don't know. Yeah, yeah.
Nonetheless, I like Sheila. She's fun.
Yep. Although she does have that one minigame or whatever, where you have to like guide these characters.
Dragonfly brothers.
Yeah, you have to guide them.
Fireflies. I don't know.
Yeah, whatever they are. Like you have to guide them with their bombs to like the dragon eggs. And I would argue that they're way more annoying to do. It's way more annoying to do that than the Alchemist mission in Spyro 2. Because like at least that's short. Whereas like this one, you have to do it. You have to do it twice, and they take like really over elaborate paths. And even for me, even like nowadays, it kind of gives me issues.
Yeah, rule of thumb, because because of the variety of characters, everyone gets at least one terrible mission. Like just
Yeah.
one absolutely terrible mission.
Well, terrible or just annoying, I guess.
Or it can be like Agent 9, where pretty much everything is a pain.
Yeah,
I'm getting ahead of myself.
Yeah, we're gonna have some colourful opinions for that. Yeah, where do we want to go from here?
I mean, we covered, I guess, talk about speedways, but there isn't much to say other than the speedways are far more enjoyable here than they are in the prior two games.
Yeah. I'd agree with that.
That's like, yeah, Sparks, who can actually talk in this game now, pretty much outright spells out just the order of targets you should hit.
Yeah, and they bring this back into the Dragonfly as well, which, I mean, that's fair enough.
So, do your, excuse me, do the, I guess, first level of the speedway, and then I think Sparks will offer like secondary objective to handle.
Yeah.
And speedways, much like Spyro 2 speedways, do have little secret areas that Spyro can find on foot, and in this case, you encounter Hunter, who will get his own special missions.
Yeah, much like in Spyro 2.
Oh yeah, I thought it was so cool when I discovered that for myself.
Yeah. Because it's one of those things you just have to find. Before I move on, did you have anything else to add to that, Scrappy?
No.
Spyro, I mean, Year of the Dragon's a pretty straightforward game for the most part. Like, Insomniac generally knew what they were doing at this point.
Yeah. I was just gonna say that one other thing that they added to the speedways is races. So like every speedway in the game has like a new race to go along with it, and they start off relatively easy, but by the end of the game they expect you to basically make almost no mistakes, so it can get kind of hairy by the end of it.
Why am I drinking cold soda while doing a podcast? That's just a bad idea.
Mate, I used to eat peanut butter sandwiches before every podcast. It started off as a case of just, bruh, why am I... Or it was... No, it started off as coincidence, and I actively put effort into making sure it happened.
Yeah, I remember that.
Welcome to Brain Block, where good decisions come to die.
Yeah.
That laugh, like Christ, that was a terrible decision.
Jeez.
And you know what else is a terrible decision? Joining the army of the sorceress, because...
Suffering's plot, right?
For those Rhinox, that's the name of the minions. Suffering is all they know.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Can I join?
Yeah.
Okay, is there a paycheck?
Probably not, because you're made of money.
Hey, what we need to know is, does the dark side have cookies?
Okay, I know I'm made of money, but I wasn't exactly planning on using myself as black market for fuel.
Well, once you get all the primary civilians of the World 1 levels, they will pull down a hot air balloon for Spyro to travel on. And the sorceress is not going to let him just traverse through the subsections easily. So she enchants one of her minions to become a horrific boss.
Yeah.
It was a rabbit.
Yeah, the rabbit does it, and then... Yes, Bianca is an aspiring sorceress herself, but she kind of sucks.
Yeah.
She also mutilated one of her own kind for shits and giggles.
I mean, yeah. Joey's making it sound worse in context. She just turned one of the Rhinox into a tiny rabbit creature, and then finally turned him into a proper boss monster.
Yeah.
And then removed his ears. Don't know how he listened to orders, not gonna lie.
One thing that I do like is, this is, Reignited specifically, and it's something, that I didn't really expect, is that the, pre-boss cutscenes actually have some added dialogue, because, like, in those cutscenes, one of the animal buddies are in the cage just kind of freaking out or whatever, and in the original they're just kind of there, and then they don't really say anything. But in Reignited, they actually added dialogue for them in those cutscenes, which I think is really nice. Because it never really made sense to me that they just stood there and didn't say anything. That's what I have to say about that. It's just a nice detail.
I I forgot that Sergeant Byrd was held hostage in the sorceress's chambers when you were traveling to World 2. Yeah, I'd say boss fights are not as good as Spyro 2's, but they're half and half, I'd say.
They're still good, yeah. So bosses 2 and 3, I think, are the best ones. And I will say, while they aren't as good, I'd say boss 2 and 3 are at least above Crush. They aren't as good as like Gulp and Ripto, especially, but they're good enough. They're definitely surfaceable bosses. They're very challenging. I'd say they're pretty fast paced and just generally difficult.
They're far more hellish looking than the Muppet bosses, Crushing Gulp, who I love, but
yeah,
the sorceress's minions, not the Rhinox, but the actual big minions are about as monstrous looking as a PS1 game with cartoon aesthetics can be.
pretty much. I guess. What am I trying to say? I don't know. I lost my train of thought.
The music is carrying the bosses also. Like Stuart Copeland did a good job with the boss tracks in this game.
Yeah, it's some good stuff. Spyro music for me is definitely more in the moment kind of stuff. Like, it's not fit. A lot of it isn't stuff I'd listen to in my own time, with some exceptions here and there. But it is some good stuff.
I can see that. I mean, I love the Doom soundtrack, but... And when I say Doom, I mean 2016, because with Doom 1, 2, and Eternal, you can listen to those. There's no problem with them. But 2016, you can't just listen to when you drive to work.
Yeah.
Also, I highly recommend not doing that. That's a recipe for road rage.
Yeah. What I was going to say about the bosses in particular is that for whatever reason, they ended up making the bosses in Spyro 3 a lot easier in the remakes, and I'm not entirely sure why. So that's kind of interesting, I guess.
They received my strongly worded complaints about Spike, the second one. I hate him. Always have.
I feel like it would have
Always
just
has
been. I feel like it would have just been better to have like a difficulty select or whatever. Because I feel while I'm fine with them making them like turning it down a little bit, because they could get a bit much sometimes, especially boss 3 for me. But I feel like they could have done it a little bit less, because I feel like they're a bit too easy now, to be honest. But yeah, I don't know.
So, yeah, you beat the boss and deliver the horrible death. Like, every boss just dies through lava or acid in this game.
Yeah.
It is. So, yeah, you give him the Care Bear stare and you head off to the next hub world.
Yeah.
Bianca comes in to threaten you again, and now you have access to a Sparks level, but it's in the prior hub world you just left.
Yeah, and this is something that the game doesn't really... Well, the game, like, shows, like, a Sparks sign in the previous world.
You know, the Sparks levels are the one thing I backtracked for.
Fair enough. They are fun challenges, but what I was going to say is that the game never makes it clear when they're available. So I just always saw them in the home worlds, and it's just like, oh, come back here later. So I never thought to just go back and, like, do... On my first run through, I should stress, I never thought to go back to the previous homeworld to do them, and like didn't really do any of the Spark stuff until I beat the Sorceress. So I feel like they could have, explained that a bit better than they did, but then maybe that's just me.
And you should go you should double back to do the Sparks levels because, well, they're an interesting change of pace. They're basically top-down shooters.
Yeah.
Yeah, Sparks gets to basically enact a bug war against his fellow insects and his bosses.
Yeah, there's like little bosses at the end of the levels, and they're fun. They're fun distractions. Like, what I like about Spyro 3 is that even though there's like how many characters are there? Like, including Spyro, there's like 5 or 6?
7.
7, yeah. There's
7 if you count Hunter's segments.
This is like Sonic Adventure levels of playstyles. But yeah, what I like about it is that none of them feel I don't know if I want to say like they don't belong. But it feels like they put a decent amount of thought into each one of them. Yeah, Sparks' levels are a fun change of pace, and they're a good challenge, and you have a bunch of different power-ups for Sparks, and being able to actually control Sparks is just inherently fun in and of itself, and they reward you by giving Spyro extra abilities every time you finish a Spark stage.
Yeah, Sparks does all the work, Spyro gets the prize.
Yeah, pretty much. What's the first ability? What are the abilities you get in order? Because I don't remember.
Was it Gem Detector? Is it a Gem Detector or a Gem Magnet? Sparks is the Gem Magnet. I think his ability to just kind of grab gems is basically enhanced.
Yeah.
It is actually a very decent enhancement as well. It's clearly noticeable.
Yeah.
And Sparks himself gets an extra hit point, so that's good.
Yeah, that's very handy. And then
I can't remember the other two abilities.
well, I know one of them is the treasure finder, where you press the shoulder buttons, I think, and Sparks like points you in a direction of where remaining gems are. It's interesting. What's interesting about that is that in Reignited, in all 3 games from the start, you have that ability right away. So I think for that station in that version, you just get nothing. So that's kind of funny, I guess.
I should have had one of the I guess upgrades I should have given you was the ability to do your side roll again.
Well, the thing with that is that you can already do that, so...
Wait, you can?
Yeah.
In Spyro 3? Like, you never need it, though.
You never need it in 2 or 3, but in Reignited, you can do the side roll thing from Spyro 1 in all 3 games, just because, like, it's one of those things similar to, like, Insane Trilogy and, like, Time Trial Relics, where we're gonna have to do this eventually, so let's just put it in all 3 games, because it makes no sense, like, leaving it out for the rest. I never had a reason to use it, but the fact it's there is nice, I guess.
Alright, that's funny, but I admittedly didn't mean for OG Spyro 3, but that's nice, at least nice to know.
Yeah.
So, yeah, do the shooter level, double back for the shooter levels if you want to actually make your progression in Year of the Dragon a little more enjoyable. If I have one legitimate complaint with the Sparks levels, it's that the enemies get maybe a little too aggressive at points, so you're basically forced to kind of go hide in a corner and double back and forth to pick them off. It's not exactly what I'd call proper shooter gameplay.
Yeah, I can feel that, especially on the first playthrough. It gets pretty hairy. Like, the last, like, stage, like Spider Town or whatever, I remember dying a fair bit on that, so Yeah, I wouldn't necessarily call them easy.
And as far as I can recall, every Sparks level has its own boss, so
Yeah.
hope you have good experience playing Galaga.
Damn fucking straight I do, my dudes.
I have
Spyro Year of the Dragon in general has a lot of mini bosses, I guess.
Yeah.
Which is, I guess, why I'm not too fussed about the main bosses not being as consistent as Spyro 2's.
Yeah, like if we like count all the mini bosses together, like this has by far like the most bosses in the trilogy. In the trilogy.
And like probably any classic era Spyro game, probably.
Yeah, I'm not gonna like make any claims with that because I've only played 1, 2, 3, and 4, so I have no idea if like the other games have more, but either way, it definitely has the most of the trilogy.
I mean, the game has like what, 6 bosses?
Let's see. 4 main bosses and a secret boss. Let's see.
And then there's a bunch of stage bosses.
Yeah, the twin dragons from Fireworks Factory, everyone's favorite level. Let's see. And then I think like 2 more mini stage bosses, and then like 3 bosses for Sparks.
I think 4 because I think there's 4 Spark stages and they all end with a boss. So.
Okay, then. So there's like a dozen bosses or so.
Yeah, there's a fair bit.
Yeah, Year of the Dragon seems to it's a very quantity heavy game. We can debate quality, but it's definitely very interested in putting in as much stuff as possible.
It's very much a quantity type game. I know a lot of people would argue that it's to its detriment, but I'd argue not, because for the most part, there are some exceptions, but I do think it handles the quantity of activities you do fairly well for the most part. So yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Indeed.
Okay. So, what's the second hub world called again? It's, was it Evening Lake or something?
That would be the afternoon. It's morning, afternoon, evening, midnight.
Okay, I'm just going to have a Google.
Yeah, I don't remember. I only remember Sunrise.
It's the one where you get a whirly bird, anyway.
Yeah, I only remember Sunrise Spring and Midnight Mountain. I don't remember the other 2. Oh, I remember the third one is Evening Lake. I think that's correct.
Alright. Sunrise Spring, Midday Gardens, Evening Lake, Midnight Mountain.
There you go. Midday Gardens.
Yep. So, yeah, second hub world, same as the first in some respects, just... It's Spyro. We don't have to break down every hub world.
No, it's pretty much what you see is what you get. Like we talked about the stuff. I assume so. I haven't actually looked back.
Let's just talk about the plot for the second world then.
Yeah, I don't remember what you said in the previous Spyro podcast, but yeah, the home worlds basically act as the same. It's just explore them, get goodies, and then move on to the actual levels. One thing I do like, though, compared to the other games, is that there's more in-between world cutscenes, where, along with, like, rescuing the animal buddies, which gives you a cutscene in and of themselves, there's also a cutscene that triggers, depending on your progress, I think. And it's just something happens with the characters, and it's some good, just fun banter, or like just some stuff going on, and I don't know. I get excited when there's more cutscenes because characters are fun, I guess.
Yeah, I'm fairly certain Bianca just... I think the primary cutscene, outside of rescuing Sergeant Bird, is just Bianca trying to ambush Spyro, hitting Hunter instead, and then getting torched for her trouble.
Yeah.
And then failing bad.
Bianca sucks at life, but that's why we love her.
You know, Hunter does.
That's funny because it's true.
Yeah. Oh, God.
How's that relationship even work out in the end, like, bro? I'll tell you why, because she thinks he's a lovable dork.
Yeah, probably.
And she's right.
I mean, she isn't much better, let's be honest here.
Oh yeah, she's a total dork.
Not as much of a dork as Hunter.
I mean, maybe not, but still.
She has her moments where she can be more serious and actually get a job done, and not be the reason why the job needs to get done.
Hey Spyro, I found this gladiator skater. Can't use it as a test for your boarding skills, or whatever the hell he says.
Hey Spyro, let's break our necks with these magic skateboards that we get from the holographic projectors.
Yeah, it's just...
It's like, sure, is there eggs in it?
Yeah.
Well, they get egg on your face, but hell yeah, I'll tell you what, I'll throw in this dragon egg that I found rather than just giving it to you because I know your fucking quest.
Yeah, it's just...
Instead of being a bro, you've got to prove to me that you're bro enough to handle the egg of broness.
Yeah, okay, the thing is that, in Spyro 2, like, I guess, like, at least with that, they're just random orbs. But with Spyro 3, they're Spyro's frickin' race you're holding hostage. Like, dude.
And then, like, half of the characters like, well, I was considering turning this into an omelette, but I suppose I should reward you with something. It's like, you fucking what, fam?
Okay, therein kind of lies an issue I have with 2 and 3 specifically, is that Spyro doesn't really react to a lot of things.
At all.
Yeah, because like...
Yeah, this is Hunter's game.
Because, like, the thing is, in Spyro 1, you save a dragon and, like, Spyro might, like, say a quick, like, comment or whatever.
Well, no, he just sort of sits there like a slobbery dog most of the time. He's like, yay! I'm just happy to be here!
Yeah,
He'll say something every once in a while.
Yeah, but, like, in Spyro 2 and 3, the way the games work have it so, it's just the NPCs talk and Spyro just kind of stands there, which is kind of a shame because it loses a lot of character that he had in 1, and the fact that Spyro 3 has more cutscenes in general, I think helps that a little bit because at least you get it from those, but you still have a lot of instances where characters say like, oh, I was gonna make an omelette out of this egg, and Spyro just says nothing. It's like, dude, just say something.
Yeah, Spyro's pretty lax about the fate of the next generation of his entire species.
Yeah, everyone can. Like
he's kind of like, on the one hand, my entire fucking species. On the other hand, dragon omelette sounds lit.
Yeah, because it's like. Oh. It's like, what is it? Pretty much every character besides Spyro, cares about what's going on, like, is it all like
Spyro's just sort of banking on the good hearts of strangers. He's like, yes, I have a feeling this person has a dragon egg. I'm just gonna do nice things for them. and hope they give me the dragon egg.
Yeah.
If not, well, shit, I guess I'm fucked.
Just imagine that now, like, you do a side quest, and then Spyro's just like, yo, can I have the egg now? Nah, fam, go away. And then it's just credits.
So my entire species looks over his shoulder and is like, still there? Okay. It's like, get out of here, scram! Fuck you. And I didn't want my entire species anyway.
Yeah, Harry brought this up multiple times during the Spyro 2 and 3 Let's Plays back in the long-forgotten time of 2018.
Oh god.
Wish I was still
Yeah. Yeah, Spyro 2, Spyro has no real personal beef with Ripto. Ripto does, because he hates dragons, but...
Ripto does want Nintendo.
Yes, yeah, Spyro... Actually, what am I trying to say? Ripto does not have much actual, depending on who you ask, doesn't have much, you know, influence on the actual individual level conflicts.
Right.
Spyro's just helping people out because he's nice. In return, Spyro... Go on.
Well, I was just gonna say, he's basically just helping Avalar because he was sent there and he was basically told to.
Mum said it's my turn to save Avalon.
Oh god.
Despite Ripto kind of just hiding in his newly taken over palace, Spyro and Ripto still get some decent banter every once in a while, and Ripto's own stature would increase because he'd be used in later games. It's kind of the reverse for Year of the Dragon, because Spyro has a pretty clear grudge to hold against the sorceress, but he doesn't interact with her much.
Yeah, that's what makes it really confusing to me. Like, the sorceress, for all intents and purposes, is the best villain of the trilogy, because like you have a clear reason to hate her. Like, she's trying to get the dragon eggs, as you find out later, to make herself immortal. Because like Bianca, from the start, Bianca thinks that, oh, we're getting the dragons because we need to get magic back for our worlds. But her reason for doing it is a lot more selfish. And that, and also, like, she just has, like, an actual army. Her face is basically everywhere. Like, you can just feel the effect of that the sorceress has on the worlds, which wasn't present with Ripto in the second game. And like Scrappy is alluding to, the fact that this is Spyro's race on the line makes you think that Spyro would have more beef with the sorceress, or like have conversations with her or something like that. And there's just nothing like that. Even in Reignited, where if they really wanted to, they could have added like a cutscene before the final boss, but they just didn't. And I feel like that's a massive missed opportunity.
Hey, yeah. Crushing Gulp and Spyro 2 are, for all intents and purposes, just hired help.
Yeah.
So Spyro's pre-boss banter was with Ripto primarily.
Yeah, basically.
The sorceress, on the other hand, prefers to kind of stay in her throne room when she's sending out her minions to do her dirty work.
Mm-hmm.
So Spyro never gets a chance to interact with her until it comes time for the final boss. It doesn't destroy the game's narrative, because Hunter and Bianca and the other animal friends are there to provide some more characterization, but it is a bit of a missed opportunity.
It's one of my biggest complaints of Spyro 3, honestly, because besides that, I don't really have that much issue with the game.
And speaking of animal friends, it's time to get to animal friend number 2, Sergeant James Bird.
Yep.
Probably the best character in the game.
He's a penguin of Madagascar. He's cool.
He's the Pingu of the game. Automatically, that means he's the best.
No, he's a penguin with a jetpack and rocket launchers. That's what makes him the best.
Yeah. Yeah, and this is where the side characters get a little bit more out there. Sergeant Bird is a lot more of a unique playstyle compared to like something like Sheila. But it's still like the general stuff like you fly around and you still do the general Spyro stuff. It's just done in a different way.
Yeah, Sergeant Bird is basically building off the vertical platforming of Sheila, but now he can pretty much fly indefinitely.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of collecting is supplemented by shooting to break through walls and find gems and whatnot.
Yeah.
It's not a one-to-one to Spyro's gameplay, but it's in the spirit of it.
Yeah.
He might be my personal favorite of the main new playable characters.
I can understand that. My favorite one is kind of a interesting pick, but we'll get to that.
Yeah, there's not. Yeah, I actually don't have much to say. If World 2 is World 2, it's more of World 1.
Yeah, I was. I was gonna say one thing. The Spyro 3 in particular really likes breakable walls compared to the other games I've noticed. I'm not entirely sure why, but it's a thing, I guess.
They're pretty clearly delineated, though, so I guess I don't mind too much. Just be careful if you're running through the super speed highway things that they still have.
Yeah.
I feel like those breakable walls are deliberately designed just to mess with the people who only use the charge motion with Spyro.
Yeah. And you can go like really fast on the supercharged speedway areas.
Gotta go fast.
What's funny about those is that those are the areas where you come across the returning thieves from Spyro 1. And the funny thing about Reignited is that they changed how the supercharge works, where it's more momentum based as opposed to how long you spend in it. So you can literally have it where in some of the supercharge areas you end up speeding up so fast that you end up catching the thief like immediately. This is amazing.
I feel bad for the
Spyro,
thieves sometimes.
I've never seen anyone move that fast. Those thieves never had a chance. Oh no, here comes another one.
Yeah, pretty much.
Look at all those Eggman's robots.
I'm gonna piss on the moon.
Oh god.
Moving on.
Yeah,
Took me several years to realize I can't talk. It took me several years to realize what the thieves were actually supposed to look like.
Yeah.
I couldn't notice the mouths they actually had. I just thought they were kind of like Final Fantasy black mages.
I can see that. That's a fair assessment.
I kind of prefer that because their true forms are, as seen in Reignited, are kind of horrifying.
No. Oh, speaking of horrifying, how about the redesigned baby dragons?
Oh.
We
haven't. Yeah.
I was so excited for how they're gonna redesign them because Spyro they went out of their way to redesign all the dragons in Spyro 1 and they're all like really unique and cool looking. And Spyro 3 the baby dragons are like adorable in the original, but in like Reignited they're like horrific.
Babies don't actually look all that pretty when they're immediately in the hospital. Evidence,
Yeah.
myself.
I mean, that's fair.
But yeah, we did lose out on the generically cute baby dragons of the OG Spyro Year of the Dragon.
I will say this though, at the very least, the 100% ending cutscene where you get all the baby dragons and all that. That scene is a lot more cute and generally better done in the remake. Whereas in the original, it kind of felt like a slap in the face, because like you end the game and it's just a dragon burping in your face. So, I guess there's that.
We will get to that in time.
Yeah.
What was I saying? Oh yes, Year of the Dragon. They actually do name all the baby dragons, which is cute.
But you don't have Spyro going, "Hey, it's Bob.
Tunes.
Hey, it's Tashi Station."
Wait,
Oh
what?
gosh.
I'm not even gonna ask.
That's one of the dragonflies in Spyro 4.
One of them is named
It's Wayne
Tashi.
Utani.
And then the dragonfly's just like, or whatever. That sounds more like Goofy, but what you get, whatever.
Why are the baby dragonflies in Spyro 4 so plump compared to Sparks?
I guess. Well, I don't know.
I guess they're larvae?
I guess.
They're not getting fed. No, Sparks isn't being fed.
No.
No,
Too
Spyro's always
expensive.
feeding him. I don't believe that. How many sheep died for Sparks' diet?
See, she's not eating the right diet. That's the problem. So all those butterflies, it's just not. No. Like I said, he's undefeated. He's malnourished.
Yeah.
I can believe that.
Imagine if you ate nothing but to 99p McDonald's cheeseburgers. Sponsor me. I will do anything for money. Anything.
You can join us for our Sword Art Online fanfiction reading in the nearest future.
No.
Pay me?
I did not agree to this. We already. Whenever frickin' Alicization ends, we're already gonna have to talk about that.
Shit.
I agree, Joey.
Sorry, I've got 6 HP and I'm poisoned and I can't heal status effects or at all.
Am I the only one not playing a game right now?
Probably. I'm just killing 2 birds with 1 stone.
Yeah, I need to just leave the air. Like, I killed every monster, but I have to leave the area because I've got 2 HP and poison.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I'm gonna game over.
It's moving on from all that.
Yes.
What was the where were we?
Baby dragons and how
Oh, right.
Beyblade.
yeah, they're all individually named, and sometimes you get dragons. It has an egg full of 2 dragons, so I'm not gonna ask about that.
Yeah, and that's one thing that Reignited kind of failed at, is that the one time. Oh, there's like a couple interesting ones where, like the last dragon egg I think has 2, like yin and yang. I assume that's still the case in Reignited. I'd have to go back and check, but there's one that's a really funny, well, not really funny, but it's like a cute little gag, I guess, where a baby dragon comes out of a sheep costume, and that's completely absent in Reignited, which is a bit of a shame.
the Year of the Dragon portion of Reignited Trilogy was kind of rushed itself, so I guess history gets to repeat.
Yeah, it's kind of a shame because Reignited, from what I understand, had like a notoriously short development cycle, and from what they've said, from what Toys for Bob has said, like they have worked on Crash 4 for multiple years. So I assume they were working on both Crash and Spyro at the same time. So by nature, that's why they had to bring in companies like Sanzaru Games to help with stuff like Spyro 3 and whatnot. Because like that's a lot of stuff to do at once.
Yeah. Unfortunate that they excuse me. Unfortunate that they weren't able to bring it up to snuff with the other two remakes.
I will say though, I do not. I mean, the fact that it's my favorite has something to do with it, but I do feel like Spyro 3 overall was handled generally the best. The only part that makes me take a bit of pause is a bit of the weird janky stuff with the glitches. Because there's some wacky stuff that can happen sometimes in the Spyro 3 remake that won't happen as much in one or two, but the general design and like the way they handled the extra characters in 3, I think was just done so well that I think, with the exception of the bosses being a bit too easy for my taste, I think it's generally just the definitive version of the game now, and there's a specific character later on that we'll get to where, even though he's my favorite, even in the original, I can understand why he'd be annoying for others, whereas in Reignited, he's redesigned in such a way that he's just inherently just way better. And honestly, it makes me want even more areas to play around with his moveset. But, yeah, we'll get to that.
So, Scorch, no, not Scorch, Spike then?
I think it's the guy that shoots you with the blaster gun, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, this is like a light version of Ripto in the sense that you're both like trying to fight to get power-ups or whatever, and fighting with them. The fact that it was such Ripto's boss is just inherently really good. It makes sense why they'd want to bring back that concept. So I'm cool with that. It's not as good as Ripto, obviously, but it's still a fun fight.
Spike is a thing. Your thoughts, Joey?
Describe the look of the boss.
Kinda looks... He kinda looks like a goat man with a blaster gun.
Yeah.
I do not remember this boss.
I don't know how to I don't really
I've beaten the game, but I just do not remember this boss.
If there's one thing I will say about the bosses in Spyro 3 is that since they're basically generic mooks upgraded to be like big monsters, that inherently makes them a lot less memorable than like Crush and Gulp, because those guys were like specifically Ripto's minions, whereas again like these are just generic mooks being upgraded, so that by nature just doesn't make them like that memorable. So I I remember the fights, but I don't usually remember what they look like.
Oz is like a frog, a lizard thing. Spike is like a minotaur goat, a cannon. Scorch is a dragon bat thing, and Sorceress is a
I
muppet.
remember Scorch.
Right. And Scorch is... that's boss 3, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. That's where you get a lot of plot dance.
Because you're fighting inside the mouth of like some sort of giant space whale or something.
I don't know about that, but...
I don't remember how they describe it, but you're fighting inside the mouth of something. Because something swallowed you on your travels and now it's got fucking Scorch in it. Fight him.
What is this, Spyro 3 or the Kingdom Hearts, like, Monstro?
3.
Yeah, I got nothing else to say about the boss.
Okay then, World 3. That's Evening Lake.
And then there's the whale, that has the baby dragon, Jonah in it or whatever. Obviously a, reference to the that story.
Joan of Arc.
Jonah, I forget what it's like actually called, but it's like Jonah gets eaten by a whale or something.
Pinocchio?
That was probably inspired by it, but it's not Pinocchio. It's like some, it's like some religion story or whatever.
Pinocchio was written in the 1700s.
Yeah, it's like Jonah and the whale or something like that. I don't know.
Noah? Like, no.
I don't remember.
If it's the 17 or 1800s. I've probably got that completely fucked, but...
Yeah. Either way, though. Yeah, besides that, same general stuff. One thing of note, though, that is, I feel like you should keep this in mind. When you go to Evening Lake, make sure you do, all the hunter-related challenges, as soon as you can, because when you get to a certain threshold, Hunter will activate a button and he'll get trapped in a cage, and that's gonna make it so you can't do any of his challenges until he gets freed later on. So that's something to keep in mind.
Don't you just love story-based games?
Yeah, right.
yeah.
It's also one of those things where, I like that things are actually happening to the characters and whatnot.
It's not... Oh, by the way, I'm trapped in a cage over there, go rescue me, but I got 5 minutes on break from being trapped in the cave to go, you know, host this minigame for you.
Yeah,
But, yeah, I'm still trapped in a cage.
It's one thing I liked about Insane Trilogy for Crash 1 is that there was not necessarily a complaint, but kind of a weird thing about the game where you go to the bonus rooms and Torno is just there, and then it's just like, why don't you just save, like, why doesn't Crash just get her from the bonus rooms? And they fixed that in Insane Trilogy where every time you do them, Cortex swoops in to grab her. So I guess, yeah.
It's a solution.
Yeah, it's one way to do it, I guess. I don't really know where I was going with any of this, but either way.
It's gonna be
The point is though, I assume it was the sorceress or Bianca. It doesn't matter which, but either way, Hunter gets trapped in a cage, and he's basically just stuck there for the remainder of the world. I think I don't remember if like he gets saved after you finish the third boss, but yeah.
It wasn't the second one.
Yeah. Do we want to just move? Do we want to just move on to Bentley then?
Yeah.
Okay, so Bentley as a I have mixed feelings about Bentley. I do honestly think he's my least favorite, just because not so much because of his gameplay, but more what they end up doing with him. Because I feel like they have a decent game plan in like the first couple levels or whatever. What are you saying?
And anything.
Oh, I thought I heard you trying to talk. I was just saying Bentley's like gameplay is fine, in and of itself, but they end up putting some weird gimmicks over them. Like the most infamous example is Bentley boxing, which is just the worst thing ever.
Ah, yes, the boxing, the best thing ever.
Yeah, and thankfully, it still sucks to play in Reignite, but at the very least they made it way easier, so it doesn't make you pull your hair out. But it's just like, why? Like, why would you do this?
Suffering is my passion.
Yeah, it's like, again, you have a solid base to work off, and the first stage, like, you're deflecting snowballs to hit gongs and whatnot, but that's never really used again, and it's like, why? Why? Like, you have such a good blueprint to work from, and then you just waste it on Bentley boxing, and it's just like, dude, please.
But Bentley boxing.
Yeah.
It's clearly the best thing they could have ever coded in their entire lives.
Yeah. And if I have to say now, Bentley boxing is probably the worst part of the game for me anyway.
I thought the worst part of the game were all the Spyro levels.
Well, then you wouldn't really like the game that much, would you?
This is the part where I say something bullshit like, I never said I liked the game, I just said that I like Spyro 3 the most. No, even though I can't pull off that one, like, that's too much even for me.
Yeah, I've said what I think about that stuff. What do you guys have to say about Bentley?
He's a big...
Bentley.
He's a big hulking guy. I'm generally okay with him, but boxing is not good.
Yeah.
DK. Bentley come.
There's not really too much else to say about him. He's basically just the big brute, but he's
Bentley's great.
Yeah.
As a character, he's great.
Yeah, he's definitely, yeah. But,
oh my god, you're gonna kill me for this, but I said that and then I literally just opened a treasure chest and got cheese. Oh no.
But yeah, the characters in general are great as well. Like, I like how you expect him to just be a massive, like, dumb brute, but he's like, like
It's
really
fucking refined, mate.
Yeah, he's like really sophisticated and whatnot. It's like, this is amazing. I guess one other thing to note, to bring up about Reignited as well, is that they take a lot of liberties with the character designs, which I think is fair enough, because most of the characters in the original were pretty generic looking, if I'll be honest. Like, Sheila just looked like a generic kangaroo. Bentley didn't look that special either, so I do appreciate them, like, I guess modernizing the designs a bit and making them stand out a bit more.
I think they based Bradley's design and reignited off his Hero's Tail design.
I didn't actually. I wouldn't have anything to say about that because well, for stars, I didn't even know he was in that game, but that's
Hero's Tail.
that's also a era of Spyro I'm unfamiliar with, so.
I am familiar with it.
I remember watching all the cutscenes at one point, but...
Good, you've played the game. Move on. Never put that shit in your PlayStation.
It's like, I'm looking at the designs now, it's like, they're all kind of different from each other. I guess the more prominent blue nose is something Hero's Tail can kind of say it introduced. And obviously more detailed fur as technology progressed.
Right.
What are you talking about? Fur technology has been amazing since frickin' Monsters, Inc.
Yeah.
Like, Sully's fur is like the best thing.
Well, it is, but that was a movie. We're talking about games.
Yeah, it takes a lot longer for games to get to that kind of art. I don't know.
And I know you're taking the piss, but I'm going to contest you anyways.
Okay, no, seeing as we're actually talking about this, I'm not taking the piss now. Here's the thing with how long it takes for movie animation technology to get into video games. It's more of a case of the power of consoles at the time, and asking for Toy Story's hair physics to be in... fucking Toy Story, what the fuck am I smoking? The answer is nothing, but that's all I need to be smoking. No, freaking... Monsters Inc.'s... the time Monsters Inc. came out, it was still PS1, I'm pretty sure.
Like, no, PS2 had been out from...
Very early PS2.
Right.
That technology isn't even usable in the PS3 at this point in time. Like, maybe PS4 and what is coming out PS5 and Xbox One? Well, next box. Oh, shut up. That's not even it being late. That's just Microsoft being garbage. Says the guy who wants an Xbox.
I mean, yeah.
And when I say the guy,
Yeah.
matchmaking's gonna be great.
I feel so bad for all the kids that have their parents buy them like an Xbox One X, thinking this is the new console.
Yeah, I can guarantee they also still haven't realised, and they're already wrapped up and hidden in like the cupboards or whatever.
I feel so bad for those children.
That's going to be a major problem in America as well. But no, basically, as I was saying, those hair physics, like, what can be done in a movie is basically dependent on what you can animate on a computer and then edit together in a film. However, based on the fact that it is basically a 3D puppet, that is more or less a transferable asset that you could easily put into a game. It's just a case of the game won't release for the next 30 years.
Right. That's why like nowadays it's so impressive, because you get stuff like Kingdom Hearts 3 where you have the entire Let It Go sequence and it's almost like point for point like the movie.
I haven't actually played Kingdom Hearts 3, even though I've got it. Game Pass is amazing. Sponsor me.
Yeah.
Xbox, like, I've got access to all of the Kingdom Hearts games. I still haven't played any of them. Says the guy who's beaten Kingdom Hearts 2.
Tch.
Never beat Kingdom Hearts 1.
Well, maybe that'll be a story for another time. Oh god.
Okay, so we're on World 3.
I think...
We've just finished talking about Bentley and hair physics.
Yeah. I wanted to just move on to Bentley because I in terms of the world itself, like, what else can we really say? Like, is Spyro gameplay is what you know and love? Is you even like Spyro to begin with? If not, I don't know why you're listening to this, but hey. Yeah, I got nothing. Oh, well, I guess one other thing. I did say earlier that there are some tracks from Spyro that I would listen to in my own time, and a few levels in World 3 are just that. I really enjoy Fireworks Factory and Frozen Altars themes. Those are really catchy. And I feel like Spyro 3 in general has the best music of the 3 games. I'm not gonna say like that, like it has like it's definitely the best, because music is one of the most subjective things on the planet. But I do really enjoy the music in the 3rd game.
Yeah, Year of the Year of the Dragon has some bangers.
Sparks' theme in specific as well is a really good track. Yeah, unless you guys have anything else to add to any of that.
Not particularly.
Yeah, I guess we'll move on.
World 3 is when Bianca starts to have some serious doubts about her mission, correct?
Yeah, well, I mean, at that point, the sorceress makes it clear what her actual goals are, and literally, it's just like, I'm paraphrasing a little bit, but this is essentially what she's doing. I'm gonna make this monster and make it eat, kill babies, so I can like steal their wings and just use that for the potion I'm making. And like, that's the point where the game kind of like.
Oh my god, that's actually a fucking dick move, bruh.
Like that's the point.
It's kind of sus.
Well, that's the point where it's just like, okay, yeah, you're just like evil beyond like repair at this point. I'm not helping you anymore. Like. So yeah, you do the boss, and it's probably the most difficult in Spyro 3. More so OG. Again with Reignite, I remember them making it a lot easier in that version, for better or worse depending on who you ask, I guess.
Yeah, so Bianca learns the true intentions of the sorceress, and she's like, yeah, I'm not doing that, and decides to free Hunter and dip.
Yeah, basically. You'd think that the sorceress would have more of a hold on her, like, or like have it, or like try to stop her from going like, oh, or, I don't know. I have no idea what they do, but like, if you leave, you won't get cookies anymore. I don't frickin' know. But
I'll never let you leave. You'll die before you even pass my first minion.
yeah, something like that. Like some simple thing that where she tries to have Bianca stay or whatever. Like in a.
And then just have her jump out a window or some shit.
Yeah, like I feel like they should have made it so that there was more
dramatic.
Yeah, make it so there was more resistance, I suppose. But either way.
What?
Hmm.
I just picked up an enemy. I didn't even realize I could do that.
Do you have anything to add, Scrappy?
Not really.
Fair enough. Okay, so we're at Midnight Mountain. Is it finally time to talk about you-know-who?
No, we're at 4 in the morning.
Yeah, let's
Alright, well,
kind of wrap
speaking
it
of
up for
fire
y'all's
thing,
sake.
You guys start on Midnight Mountain. I've got to check something real quick.
okay, so one thing I guess before we talk about the last character, one thing I like about Spyro 3 is that Bianca is probably just my favorite character in the series, mainly for the fact that she actually has a character arc, and she like grows to actually trust the heroes, essentially, and I feel like her like learning to like actually do the right thing is written in probably the best way they could have done at the time, and I don't know, I enjoy it. Like it's done in a very believable way, and Bianca is just a likable goofball, I guess.
She's a dork.
Yeah. It's like that's a character. Bianca's the type of character.
Okay,
where,
I'm back. Sorry about that.
Well, I was just saying, like, I feel Bianca's the type of character for me where you want them to be redeemed, because like they're not inherently bad. Like she's not inherently a bad person.
So not a Trixie situation where you don't give a shit.
Yeah, like yeah, characters like Bianca are characters that you want to see them be redeemed, because you can tell that they're good-hearted people. They're just like being led down the wrong path, essentially, and you want to see them like change their ways or and what have you. And I feel like Spyro 3 did that really well with how they writ Bianca in the game. Or wrote whatever words I can English.
Yes, you can English, but could you not?
I had to make my piece about Bianca, because it is like one of the best moments in the one of the best written things about the trilogy. Because it's not like the Spyro trilogy isn't that story driven, so the fact that they did it so well is just pretty impressive to me.
Yeah, she's definitely the most dynamic character in the first 4 console games.
Yeah. Unless you guys have anything else to say about Bianca specifically, I guess it will be time to finally talk about the last character.
By all means.
I think Bianca is an incredibly well-written character and genuinely underutilized in the series.
I'd agree with that. I feel like most of that is due to the next game's lack
Being
of
garbage.
yeah, and having a lack of development time, but yeah. So, do you... Okay, who wants to go first on Agent 9?
Agent
Okay.
Because I know we all have, like, different... I don't know about Jory, but I know Scrappy and I have very different opinions on this.
You know that guy that thinks he's insane but kind of actually isn't?
Yeah.
That's Agent 9. They're genuinely unpredictable in the idea that they're trying to think all the time of how to be as unpredictable as possible.
Yeah.
And it just ends up as screaming every other word.
Yeah, pretty much.
But at the same time, you don't want to be in 5 feet with them, because you don't want them to hit you out of fucking nowhere.
Essentially.
A exercise in diplomacy and defusing of situations. Yeah, something I've got lots of experience in just anyway.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Agent 9 is probably the most entertaining of the new characters, but I'm not sure how I feel about his gameplay style.
The
first-person shooter thing just doesn't work.
Yeah. Okay, so... Yeah, this was the character I was alluding to earlier, where he's personally my favorite of the side characters to play as. But I will admit that his movement is a bit unwieldy, and he isn't
It's inverted aiming, and that's the biggest problem.
I mean, that's fair, I guess. The biggest problem for me is just his general movement is just really weird. I remember... I could be misremembering this, but I swear I remember you, Scrappy, saying at one point, it feels like I'm controlling a shopping cart.
Yeah, I probably said that.
Which is like the best summary of it. But regardless of how you feel about Agent 9 in OG, in Reignite, they did it so much better, to the point where he's not only my favorite character in that, but I loved it so much that I'd honestly want to see a spin-off of just nothing but Agent 9 missions, because it was just so fun to play around with him in that game.
Have you heard of this game called Ratchet and Clank?
Yes.
Wow, it's almost like it's a game made entirely out of Agent 9 missions, but with a more likable character.
I mean, yeah, but it's also... It's not entirely the same thing, though.
It really isn't, though, but yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I didn't even think of the Ratchet and Clank comparison.
Yeah.
Agent 9's gameplay was, you could argue, a dry run for Ratchet and Clank, at least for Insomniac.
Well, you can see that
they wanted to make a shooter before they made, what's it called?
They did make a shooter before Spyro.
Yeah, and it didn't sell well, so they made Spyro.
Yeah.
The audience just wasn't there yet.
Yeah, pretty much. But yeah, you could tell they had like bits of Ratchet and Clank slowly coming out, I guess, because like you had the enemies in Spyro 2 that apparently were the inspirations for Ratchet and Clank, and then I guess you have stuff like Agent 9, which is probably... I mean, no one can say for sure, but I can imagine it would be like a precursor to some of the stuff Ratchet and Clank has. I can't be certain of that, but... Yeah.
Yeah, precursor, legacy.
Yeah.
Insomniac did apparently want to do an Agent 9 spin-off, but that never came about.
I would love to, like, with the new Reignite playstyle, I would love to see that now. If it will I guess if that happens or not will depend on what happens with Spyro in general in the future, but we'll see. Maybe come, like, a year from now, we'll be talking about Spyro 4, and not the one that sucks.
The good one.
Yeah.
An actual Spyro 4 called Spyro 4.
Yeah, like maybe we'll be talking about that in a year's time, who knows?
You know, something worth talking about.
Yeah, but...
Not saying what we're talking about isn't worth talking about, what I mean is...
worth talking about more than Enter the
as
Dragonfly.
compared to, yeah.
Yeah. We'll see what happens, though. Crash got his new game now, so maybe it'll be Spyro's turn next, but we'll just have to wait and see. Yeah, I've essentially said what I needed to, I guess. Any other words on Agent 9? Because I pretty much said my piece.
I basically spoke of his character.
Like him as the Deadpool of Spyro, but Control will be a bit more work, and his missions are just a little too... What's the word? He's the last major side character, so I understand that his missions would be the hardest, but it's probably the biggest departure from Spyro's gameplay at this point, so it's...
Yeah.
Maybe we should have tried to acclimate the player a bit more.
Yeah, I would agree with that to a point, but the fact that he's the last character you unlock makes me a bit more lenient on it being a lot more different than Spyro's normal gameplay. So that's why I'm not as harsh to it as other people are, but I can understand the complaint.
It's not about being different for me, it's just about being different and just kind of
You can be
hard,
different, just be good.
Yeah, that's fair. That's why I would recommend trying the Reignite trilogy, because it fixes a lot of issues with the controls. But yeah. I guess that's it.
So we spoke about World 4. World 4 has the most secrets in it of all the worlds.
Yeah.
You actually feel like you're actually discovering something, and it's not like, oh, this is just something that's scripted in the game that anyone could do, and it's expected by the developers. You actually feel like you're kind of breaking the game and going somewhere you're not supposed to. Even with the eggs being there, you think, wow, I found the secret egg that no one else found.
Yeah.
That's probably the best thing about Spyro 3. You always feel like, I did this, and this was awesome. Like, everyone's done it, because the game is designed like that, but it feels like, even with the age of the internet, like, I was the first to discover this. I'm not going to Google it. Because if I Google it, it will ruin my fucking feelings.
Yeah, I get what you mean. That's yeah. Spyro 3 is designed in a very, very clever way.
It's actually slightly the sort of game design that I'm hoping to see in Cyberpunk.
Yeah, I can see that. And hopefully, like, we don't. There's Spyro 4 rumors don't even exist yet, but this is just.
We're the ones making the Spyro 4 rumors.
Yeah, pretty much. But
I could see anything on frickin' the Seaspring Discord, and there'd be like, source.
It's like, where are you getting these? Where are you getting these Spyro 4 rumors? Where? And I'm just like,
Fuck.
I'm
sorry.
and I just be like, my own brain.
Spyro 4 is gonna have a whole world dedicated to Agent 9.
You heard it here you heard it here first, folks.
Pay me.
It's totally gonna happen now.
Pay me.
But no, seriously though, I do hope Spyro 4 has that kind of design philosophy as well, and just goes to town with it, because it's just inherently satisfying. I feel like we should start wrapping up, because I'm starting to run out of things to say about the game now.
I mean, we've got one thing left to talk about, and that's the Sorceress boss in the 100% world.
Right. The sorceress boss kind of sucks.
I mean, yeah, you just sort of wait until the balloons pop and the cannons drop down, and you go shoot her with a cannon.
Yeah, like after how good the Ripto fight was, it's such a massive letdown. I really have nothing to say about it. It's just kind of a it's not terrible, I guess, but like as a final boss, it's just kind of eh.
Okay, moving on. Oh yeah, I'm one of the dragon eggs because my name is generic.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm two of them.
Jason's also in the game too.
Actually, I think my middle name is also one of them.
Oh god. Oh man.
The game is a love letter to my existence, even though I think I'm slightly younger than it. Wait, when did the game come out?
2000.
Oh
Oh,
yeah.
then I'm like 2 years older than the game. That's fine.
So they might have known about your existence then. Who knows? I
They devoted the whole game to me.
Oh man.
Another bullshit.
Yeah.
Like this one I found in a field earlier.
I guess there's one other thing to bring up is that that we brought up about how there's multiple characters and there's a bunch of different gameplay styles, not only in the animal buddies, but also just Spyro in general with like skateboarding and stuff like that. And people compare the like Spyro 3 and Crash 3 a lot because both of them have like they're
platformers from the same-ish time, but they're just not that great for comparison.
well, it's the sense that both of them have like the normal Crash or Spyro gameplay mixed in with a bunch of added stuff. I don't know. I don't want to say fluff because that makes it sound worse than it actually is. But
I think they're both typically regarded as the best that those franchises had to give.
depending on who you ask, yeah.
Almost everyone's favorite Spyro and Crash game is free. Almost.
There's a good majority, but there is a good chunk of people that prefer the second games as well.
Yeah. Definitely. And then there's that one edgelord who's like, I liked the first Spyro game.
I mean, I know I've heard people that like Crash 1 the most, which is an interesting take, but okay.
Yeah, interesting take is definitely a way to put it. Sorry, it's 4 in the morning.
Yeah, I'm just trying to wrap up like any like other random thoughts.
Steve
is in Smash. Yo.
Yeah. Calling it Steve from engineering.
Isn't he?
Steve has come to fight. Fuck. I didn't mean it, guys. I'm sorry.
Isn't he? Isn't he supposed to be available on like the 13th or something?
I have no idea.
Yes.
I really don't care either.
Fair.
13th of October. What is it?
So in 3 days.
Yeah, he seems interesting. You know what? No, I'm not going to talk about this right now.
Bob Sponge.
Bob Sponge. No one's going to get that.
Are we just gonna wrap this up now?
Yeah, I don't know what to say anymore.
Do we actually want to talk about the final bonus levels, or are we just gonna leave it?
Just go. Do you want to just go over it like briefly, Scrappy?
The 100%
Okay.
levels.
Yeah.
Alright, well, basically, you beat the game, and Moneybags, who has been extorting you for the other character's freedom the entire game, appears in the final hub world, you can chase him to your heart's content. Excuse me. You can chase him until your heart's content, or rather, until you get all your gems back.
I love
And
that.
then he screws off.
That is one of the most satisfying things in the world.
You know, when I was a kid, I actually tried following him into the level and seeing if I could chase him further.
Oh god, I wish you could.
Because he runs into that Egyptian tomb world. But yeah, past that, we then...
Yeah.
So yes, once you have collected all dragon eggs and gems, you are entered. You may gain entrance to the super bonus world, and that is literally what it's called.
It's also insanely hard. Well, not insanely, but it's fairly difficult.
A fairly difficult set of challenges, mostly in the minigame variety, not so much platforming.
Yeah, the actual normal area is pretty straightforward.
So yeah. Go have fun fighting racing Yetis, and then if you get all the gems from there, you can fight the sorceress again. She survived.
Yeah, and it's basically just the final phase of Ripto's fight in the second game. I will give it credit here that it is a little bit the sorceress here is a little bit harder than that fight because she has more health, and I feel like you can't shoot as fast with the weird UFO thing compared to like Spyro Super Flame. Like maybe it's just placebo, but that's what it feels like to me. Either way, either way, it's basically just the same fight.
Yes, do that, and you will get the true final dragon egg.
Yeah.
Steve.
It should be Steve.
And then you get the final egg. I mean, the true ending, which is not as good as the actual the main ending.
Oh yeah. Oh, we didn't talk about that. That I like that. That one's cute. Do you want to mention that briefly?
Yeah, main ending just basically Sorceress is presumed dead. Spyro decides to go looking for Hunter, who's disappeared, so he jumps around across all the hub worlds and meets up with his new friends to check in on how they're doing with their newfound freedom.
Yeah.
And since the sorceress is gone, I guess the denizens can travel freely again. So he meets up with them, gets some last minute gags in, and also meets up with Alora from Spyro 2.
Oh yeah, she's just kind of a piss at the end.
Well, bang, okay.
Moving on. And then finally, he finds Hunter at Fireworks Factory, I think.
Yeah. One gag.
Making some fireworks.
Yeah, pretty much. But like one gag about the ending is that Spyro is like going around the worlds, trying to figure out where Hunter went, and then when he finds like him and Bianca like at Fireworks Factory, it's just like, just look away, Sparks. Another noble warrior has fallen.
Another
victim.
hero has succumbed to the evil sickness that is the curse of love.
Something like that, yeah. Just look away. I love that.
Says the guy that is clearly into the fawn.
And so that's the main ending. 100% ending is just Spyro bringing back the baby dragons to his home realm.
Yeah.
It's cute, but it's just kind of low-key compared to the main ending.
Yeah, it's definitely better in Reignite, I will say.
Like it's literally it's the comedy movie equivalent to a credit scene.
It's basically. It's basically.
It's the video game equivalent to a comedy post-credit scene.
Yeah, basically.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, that's that's Spyro 3, I guess.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I don't really have much else to add to it. It's my favorite in the trilogy. I think it has the it has the best well-rounded level design. And even though it's the longest, it doesn't feel like that because you're always doing new things. So it's a good time. I don't want to drag that out longer than I need to because it's too late.
Yes, 4 AM. Woo!
Woo!
We've only been streaming for 2.5 hours.
Woo!
It's a fun game, if occasionally unfocused, but I do enjoy it.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
I think it's the most focused Spyro game of the trilogy. It has a direction and it says go this way and then you go this way. But if you go that way, you find that, and then if you go that way enough times in enough places, you find that.
Yeah, that's fair.
Like, the story's actually there, unlike with 1 and 2, where it's just like, oh no.
That's the best description of it I've ever heard. So.
Jesus Christ.
I'm
never gonna live that one down.
I'm gonna have to like save that as like a separate sound clip, and like at the start whenever we do like Spyro like 1 or 2, I don't even know who's gonna do the reignite versions, but just have after the first cutscenes, just have your voice clips. Oh no.
No, the exact same clip from the stream. Just clean it up and then shove it in there. I don't care if the circle doesn't fit in the square, I'm shoving it in.
Oh my god. I also need to have an edit somewhere where I just have like an edited version of your face that's just like really angry looking and you just go Daka.
1, no. 2, no.
Oh lord.
It was never a joke, it was a school-appropriate replacement for fuck. Because if I was saying fuck every 5 seconds in school, that would have been problematic. Saying Daka every 5 seconds in school, the worst that could happen is say, oh, so you like the orcs in Warhammer as well?
Okay, well, it is. I think that's all I've had. That's all I can say about Spyro 3.
Fair enough. So
Closing off.
Yeah, I was gonna say, since we're gonna end this and we've cleared out our goal of actually talking about the Spyro trilogy, what are we gonna do next with this podcast?
Nothing.
I don't know. Are we going to do a podcast next week? Because I have no problem doing it weekly.
I'd be fine with that, we just have to have an idea of what we're doing.
Okay, so there's no problem with doing it weekly, however, if weekly does become a problem, we'll go back to bi-weekly.
Yeah.
Yeah, that works for me.
That being said then, what do you guys have any ideas of what to talk about next time?
No.
Yeah.
We could talk about a pre-expectations of the upcoming consoles.
Fair.
And basically get out our thoughts on the direct style events that happened.
I suppose. It's a good one.
That way we can kind of structure it and focus maybe PlayStation first then Xbox.
Yeah. I can see that working.
I'm just finishing a live stream. Alright. Wow, I'm not getting shouted at for being up at 4 in the morning. Okay, well, anyway, we'll sort of plan that out off stream.
Yeah.
Just final thoughts from me. I definitely recommend the Spyro trilogy. The best way to play it at the moment is to play the Reignited trilogy.
Yes. Agreed.
If you want to find me on my other activities, I am usually streaming, not really at a set time anymore because problems happened and I gave up with scheduling.
Yeah.
I am usually streaming around midday GMT till late evening on Bootleg Raccoon at twitch.tv.
Nice. As for...
Scrappy?
Yeah.
I don't have anything to plug.
Okay. Harry?
Well, as for me, I guess, it's just usual stuff. I kind of just stream when I want to, essentially, but if you want to know about updates on that, following me on Twitter is probably your best bet on when to get, like, stream updates. So if you want to know when I start streaming, that'll be your best bet. But yeah, more streams for Crash 4, Hyrule Warriors and the like will still be continuing in the future. And yeah, that's essentially it.
And I have one thing to kind of plug for because I think it's really neat, and not a lot of people may have heard of this, but if they're interested in Vivzy Pop's content, such as Hell of a Boss or Has Been Hotel, the first full episode of Hell of a Boss will be coming out sometime before the end of October.
Okay.
So that's something for you guys to look forward to.
Nice.
Alright, well, thanks for watching, and Harry has just finished this level in Puyo, so this is actually the perfect time to finish the stream.
Yeah, I think this might be the end of the game, I'm not sure.
We hope to see you again on next Saturday to talk about the upcoming games consoles. Hopefully earlier than this, because this is maybe a little too late for most of us.
Yeah, I have no idea how much longer this game goes on for, so I'll just do a save state here.
Anyway, thank you for watching, and we hope to see you around in our other content.
Yep, so...
Have a good night, everyone.
See you guys later. And also, yeah, that is totally Dragon Quest Slimes. Anyways, bye.